Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar on succeeding as an international transfer student. We're glad to have you here with us today, but before we begin, let me first introduce myself. My name is Ian, and I transferred to the University of Minnesota from Malaysia in 2015. I graduated with a degree in computer science, though initially when I first was admitted, I was a material science major and switched over after my first semester. I graduated back in the year 2018 and have been working as a software developer at a credit union in Minnesota.
Similar to Ian, I'm also a transfer student from Macau, and I switched my major after I transferred to the University of Minnesota from economics to actuarial science, and I'm going to work as a business analyst. Today, we want to share with you 6 tips from our experience as transfer students, especially the things we learned over the time that hopefully can help you to succeed as an international transfer student. After our presentation, there will be a Q&A session. So now let's get into today's topic. The first tip I want to share with you is to explore other majors during your first semester if you are not quite sure what you really want to study. I transferred during my sophomore year. At that time, I wasn't sure if economics was what I wanted to study. Throughout my college years, even though I knew one advantage of studying in the US is the flexibility of changing major, I wasn't very active in exploring other options because I already lost some credits and was behind my peers. And changing to another major might risk losing more credits. It wasn't until my second year I realized that economics wasn't really for me. So in the end, I switched my major. Even though I had to delay my graduation, I was really glad that I ended up choosing what I liked, which also helped me land 2 internships. But looking back, I wish I could start exploring other options in my first semester, such as taking non-major courses that I'm interested in. And some non-major courses are also part of your program curriculum. And another thing I wish I've done is to look into the majors you are interested in to see if there are any required courses that are also part of your current major. If there are, then prioritize taking those courses so that you can get a taste of what other majors are like and have more information before making your decisions. Another thing I wish I've done is to be active in talking to classmates, professors, and college advisors who can provide you valuable advice.
Another tip that I have for you is to avoid taking too many credits in your first semester. It may seem like the most practical thing you can do by taking so many credits, but it could really feel overwhelming from the stress. Coupled with having to live independently and just having more responsibility from school and just life in general, it may feel like a lot to suddenly take in. When you take so many credits, it may feel like you just don't have enough time to socialize or exercise or even sleep. And so, in my opinion, for the first semester, it'll be a good idea to take a moderate amount of credits. Maybe 15 to 16 or so. Compared to community colleges, the classes at the university are also slightly harder and more demanding. With that in mind, it would be wise to first get a feel of what classes are like. When I transferred to the University of Minnesota, I tried taking a bunch of upper division classes my first semester, and it became really difficult to cope that my grades started to drop, and I even ended up having to drop a class. Overall, that semester was kind of a disaster for me, and I really regret trying to push myself too much. Then there's also the language barrier that may be an obstacle for many. As for many international students, English may not be your first language, and this will make it harder for you to follow classes and get up to speed. The material in classes may not be that difficult, but because it's taught in a foreign language, it becomes that much harder, and it's something to definitely consider. It's important to factor these things when trying to plan what classes you intend to take. A tip that I have for you is to definitely check in with your advisor on the graduation plan to see what's the best arrangement for your classes so that you can spread them out evenly over the time that you have here. The pre-made graduation planners are a pretty good gauge and will provide you with some assistance in planning your semesters. So definitely don't ignore it.
The third tip I want to share with you is to socialize. As a transfer student, you may feel that you already have some college experience and now you just need to focus on studying. But don't discount the importance of connecting and socializing with people. Since transfers have less time to adjust to a new environment and a new system, it is important to learn as much as you can. Take the time to explore and find out the important or essential information that can help you navigate and make the most of your college experience. Looking back, what really helped me more to connect with the new campus, find the right resources, and learn about different aspects of living in the US were talking to and connecting with my classmates, mentors, advisors, or the school alumni. So how can you get plugged into the network to connect with them? One thing I recommend you doing is to get involved on campus, such as checking out and joining a student group that match with your interests. What made my first 2 semesters very fun and memorable were actually the friends I made and the experience I had at a student group called International Undergrad Student Ministry. There, I met many other international students as well as American who are very warm and welcoming. I also met many upperclassmen who are so willing to share their experience living and studying in the US. This really helped me to adjust quickly in my first year in the US. Another student group that I joined was the Actuarial Study Student Club. There, I learned about a mentor program and I got to connect with different professions who work in the fields that I'm interested in. Through talking to them, I got to learn more about what it looks like to work in the US, what it takes to find a job as an international student, and what I really want to do with my future career. Another thing I would recommend is to attend school events and get involved in social media platforms such as the Transfer Student Orientation, Welcome Night, Transfer Student Facebook, etc., where you can connect with other transfer students who have shared experience, faculty, or administration staff who can guide you or direct you to find and utilize the right resources for what you need help with. I also encourage you to take initiative to get to know your classmates. Some of you might think that people in your class have already known each other and it's challenging to join a formed circle. But actually, there are ways you can try to get to know and connect with them, such as starting a study group and inviting your classmates to join.
Tip number 4: attend welcome and orientation events. Before the semester begins, universities will put up a bunch of events to welcome students to the campus. Now, this year's a pretty special year, as all the events hosted will be virtual, as some of you may have already noticed. Now, for some universities, the welcome events are still ongoing, and it's not too late to get involved. It may feel unnecessary to attend these events, and you may think that it's just a waste of time, but they're a really good resource to get acclimated to the campus. Through these events, you'll be able to meet many new people and get acquainted with new friends and student groups that may be of interest to you. This is a time that you should really take advantage of, as many students are new and also looking to build connection and make new friends. I remember during my own orientation, I was able to meet a couple of other Malaysian students, and that was really nice considering that I was new here and didn't really know anyone. Having met a couple of people from home made me feel a little bit less fearful and anxious during that time. Knowing the present situation that many of you may not get the chance to come to America this semester, it makes it that much more valuable to be able to get to know the campus and the people that you'll potentially meet when you do arrive in the future. And if you do have any questions or would like some recommendations, feel free to reach out to your mentors and they will gladly help you find groups that you can get plugged into.
Here comes to our fifth tip. As a transfer student in your first semester, you might feel not prepared for looking for an internship or a job. That's actually how I felt. So I didn't think about looking for an internship until my third semester after I transferred. However, my experience later on told me that the earlier you start to prepare for finding an internship or a job, the better. And here are some tips of how to prepare. First, start looking for job openings in the fields you are interested in and reading through the job description. It will give you a better idea of what kind of candidates the companies are looking for and how I can prepare myself to be a strong candidate. For example, one of the skills that I saw frequently was analytical skill. After having that in mind, I became more intentional in looking for opportunities that can grow and demonstrate my analytical skill. Secondly, start building your resume. I didn't have a resume until my junior year when the school hosted a career fair. I created my resume not long before that, which made me feel very unprepared. And it was until then I realized that I really needed to build some experience. So I started to work part time on campus as a teaching assistant and a student leader for freshmen to prepare myself for future job career fairs or job search. These became the valuable experiences I got to put down on my resume and also talk about with the interviewers. So the earlier you start looking into job openings, working on your resume, the more prepared you will be as you will have better ideas of what experience or skills you need to build and how to. And here are some examples of the resources I would recommend you checking out.
Lastly, the one thing that I think many students don't know about when applying for majors is to explore the Bachelor of Arts equivalent of it. Sometimes it can be hard to get into the Bachelor of Science program, and it can be discouraging when you don't get into the major of your choice. No, but you could always look to the Bachelor of Arts equivalent if it's offered by your university. Here I've listed a couple of differences of the two. Now, typically, you will take similar classes with the exception of a few. With the BA equivalent, you'll be required to take a wider variety of courses, and so there are less requirements in terms of your major classes. The knowledge that you get from here wouldn't be as deep as a BS degree. However, there is no restriction on what classes that you can or cannot take, and so you're free to take whichever ones that you would like, provided that you do have the time and capacity to take them on. From my own personal experience, I had many friends in the same computer science major as me, but were enrolled in the BA equivalent. At the end of the day, it is a fairly good way to continue pursuing the degree of your choice if you didn't get into the BS equivalent of it. A BS degree would definitely be a plus, but a BA degree is not terrible, so to speak. It comes down at the end of the day to what you know and how well you're able to apply what you have learned. It's a relatively good stepping stone and will provide you with the foundations to go on and succeed in your future. Had I known this back then, it would have definitely helped me to feel less pressured and anxious about whether or not I was going to get into the major that I wanted. So definitely take time to research whether or not your university has the option to pursue a BA degree for the major of your choice. Don't look down on it and don't disregard it. It is an option and it's a viable one. And that concludes our presentation. I hope that was helpful for some of you guys. And now if you have any questions, we'll have a time of Q&A as Elaine mentioned before. Feel free to ask us any of your questions and we'll try our very best to answer them. Thank you.